Squeebies, why are you wearing my glasses?
Because it's time for a new genre challenge.
Ooh, a new genre reading challenge. Well, I can't see anything without them. Can I have them back, please?
Well, I look quite debonair, like an academic.
I know, you look like an academic. Definitely. You look like an academic.
Well, but since it's dark academia, shouldn't they be sunglasses?
Yeah, they should be sunglasses if you're doing dark academia. I'm going to take them back now. So, why don't we try a new genre? Let's try some dark academia, because I think we might enjoy it. What do you think?
Well, I think it will be an excellent intellectual exercise.
I didn't even know you could read.
Well, of course I can.
As dear Squeeby the Bunny, aka Eeyore, told you, we are going to try a new genre. We are going to read some dark academia. Now, I haven't ever tried reading actual dark academia before. I do really enjoy books that have an academic setting. As you know, I love history books and everything. So books with an academic setting are very intriguing to me. I especially love books where they're digging through archives or old journals and that sort of thing. So I might like dark academia. The only thing that I'm hesitant about is that I've heard that a lot of dark academia has very unlikable characters, somewhat insufferable characters, and really flowery writing. Now, in the right circumstances, I like flowery writing, but we'll see. So I have picked 3 to read, and they all arrived from the library, so I can get a start on this. The first one that I picked is The Cloisters by Katie Hayes. I've been wanting to read this book ever since it first came out. To me, it sounds extremely interesting. I will tell you guys a little bit more about each book when I go to read it, but this is going to be the first one that I'm going to read. Then I have The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and I've heard that this book is kind of the grandmother of dark academia, sort of the one that started it all. So we'll see what I think of that. And then I picked up this one, which I've been wanting to check out for quite a while, and that is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I've heard so many people on BookTube say that they love this book and they love M.L. Rio's writing, and the premise sounds really good to me, so I am looking forward to that as well. So those are the 3 books that I am going to read for this vlog, and I will let you know how I enjoy each one of them and whether I think dark academia is a genre for me. So first up, I am going to read The Cloisters by Katie Hayes, like I mentioned. And this one, you're following Anne Stillwell. She arrives in New York City with the plans that she's going to be working at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. But instead of actually working in the art area, the person who she was going to be working for has left, and she gets assigned to the Cloisters, which is the Gothic museum and garden, renowned for its collection of medieval art and its enigmatic researchers. So you've got Patrick Rowland, the charismatic curator, specializing in the history of tarot, Rachel Monday, Patrick's brilliant curatorial associate, and Leo Bitberg, the gardener charged with cultivating the museum's poisonous plants. So it just sounds really unique, and it has something to do with Anne discovering a cryptic deck of 15th century tarot cards. So that looks really interesting, and I will let you know what I think once I get a little ways into it. Let's talk the cloisters. I have now gotten to page, I'm actually quite far. Hi, Raven. I have gotten to page 114. Can you move so people can actually see me and not you? I've gotten to page 114. Oops. Oh my God. I've gotten to page 114. And so far, I'll tell you a little bit about the book. So you're following our main character, whose name is Anne. Anne is from Washington, and she has just graduated university, and she's not sure where to go next. She wants to escape out of her small town in Washington because of her father has passed away, and there's just a lot of grief associated with it. But because she studied a very niche aspect of art history, she doesn't have a lot of options. But she eventually gets accepted to a summer program at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. So she gets there all the way from Washington, gets to New York, and on her first day, she goes there for orientation. She discovers that the person she was supposed to work under has been called away to a different project and isn't there for the summer, so they're going to just send her home. But of course, she came all the way from Washington and she does not want to go back home. But while she's sitting in the office, this other guy comes in and says that he needs someone for the summer. And here it's this guy named Patrick, who is the curator of the Cloisters, which is a portion of the Metropolitan Museum of Art that has, it's built like old cathedrals and that sort of thing, full of like stone walkways and everything. And then there's these different cloisters in it that are filled with various plants, and it's essentially like gardens and stuff. And then there's also artwork and everything there. So she accepts the position, obviously, and goes there and begins helping him with his research. He's researching the origins of tarot and whether in the 1500s it was actually used for telling the future or if it was just like a card game. But things start to kind of get weird. You meet a couple of other characters. There's Leo, who's the gardener, and there is Rachel, who is the girl that Anne is working with. And they are quite mysterious. So is Patrick. They're very mysterious, and you can tell that there's something else going on. Patrick believes in the divination qualities of tarot and everything. But so far I'm 30 some percent into it, about 36%, I think. And I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this one yet, because Anne's character is really well fleshed out. And you understand her motivations. Obviously, there's some secrets she's keeping and everything too, but you understand her motivations quite well. But part of the problem that I'm having is that the other three main characters, Leo, Patrick, and Rachel, are so mysterious that, that there's obviously something going on, but they're so mysterious that you don't really know enough about them to really care about them at all. I don't know. To me, they're kind of replaceable characters because I just don't know. The author hasn't given us enough about them to make them somebody that I would actually care about or even remember. They're not real memorable characters because they're so mysterious. So we'll see where it goes, and if that changes the further I get into it. I am only 30% in, so we'll see how that goes. So far, I'm liking the academic aspects of it. I like the research aspect. I would almost like to have more detail in the research. I know some people find that there's too much detail in some of these academia books, but I like the detail, so I would almost like to have more detail. There's a fair bit of name dropping of people from the 1500s and everything, and I'd like to know more about that because, of course, I'm a history buff too. So, but overall, the aura around the book is very mysterious. There's yeah, so we'll see where it goes from here, and how interesting I find it. This is my first attempt at dark academia, so I have read some other things that could potentially be classified that way. I'm not sure, like the 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. It's academic, but it's more of a gothic sort of academic, and I don't know, and it's kind of mystery. It's like a mystery gothic sort of thing, but it also involves books and research and things. So I'm not sure if that would qualify as dark academia. I put it down as mystery. But I haven't really specifically read something that I knew was dark academia, like these ones that I'm doing for this vlog. So we'll see how I end up liking it. Like I say, so far this one, the subject matter and everything is really interesting, and I'm enjoying following the characters trying to figure out what's going on, and the character trying to figure out what's going on, and also her research into this tarot stuff. But again, like I say, the side characters I'm not finding to be overly memorable, just because they're too mysterious. So anyways, that's my thoughts for now. I will let you know when I get further into the book. I'm out here watering the ponies. These are little guys, the donkeys. But I thought I'd update you on where we're at with, I'm going to turn so that I'm not in the sun, where I'm at with the cloisters. So I made it quite a bit further now. I'm at like 60%, and there's definitely some events happening that are starting to get a lot more interesting. There was a big, huge event that happened. Two big things, one thing academically and one thing plot-wise, that are really interesting now, so I'm a lot more gripped by the story. I still don't really care much for any of the side characters. Like, I have no feelings towards them one way or another. I'm kind of ambivalent. But yeah, the overall, the actual stuff that's happening in the story has gotten quite interesting. So I'm curious to see where it's going to go from here. There's definitely other things going on. I don't know if there's anything actually supernatural going on with the tarot cards and everything, or if it's just human issues going on. So we'll see what happens there. And yeah, but it's definitely getting more interesting. I should be able to finish that one today, hopefully at some point this evening when I'm done working for the day, and then move on to the next one. But I'll let you guys know what my final thoughts are when I get there. So I finished a few days ago, I finished The Cloisters by Katie Hayes. And this one I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. I finished out the book, still not really caring about any of the characters. Even the main character, I just didn't really care about her at all. But the academic part of it I found so interesting. And the twist at the ending did get me. And that's what bumped it up from a 3 to a 3.5 for me. I definitely did not see that coming. I didn't see who was behind things. So that part made it really interesting. I found the academic part really up my alley. But again, for me, not having super likable characters that I get to care about is somewhat of a deal breaker for me when I'm reading. Raven, can you not, please? So yeah, for my first Dark Academia book, this one was definitely a good one. Like I say, I love the academic part of it. So we'll see what I think of the other two. I'm going to start reading The Secret History by Donna Tartt today, and we'll see how I enjoy that one. So I will let you know. Hello, update time on The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Now, I probably didn't tell you guys a whole lot about what this was about because, to be quite frank, I am still not 100% sure, and I'm 84 pages in now. So, but I did make some progress. You're following this guy named Richard. He hates his life. He's from California in a small town, and he just absolutely hates his life. And he wants to escape that area. So he's gone to college, to the community college, and he's taken a couple of ancient Greek classes. He ends up getting accepted into a college in Vermont. I think it's Vermont. So he goes there, he gets financial aid and goes there. But once he gets there, he meets this professor of classics. He's a Greek professor and a classics professor. And this guy is really different. He only takes on about 5 students, and that's all he'll do. He doesn't want to get involved with anything else. He has like these students, and he takes over all their classes and everything. And Richard wants to join them, but of course this guy's very picky about who he teaches. So Richard ends up making up a history for himself that interests this guy. And so he does get accepted into the class. So where I'm at right now, he's just been accepted and then has joined and starting to get to know these other 5 students. And it's very dense writing. The characters are not likable at all. Again, same as with the other Dark Academia book that I read. The characters are not really likable, but it's readable. It's dense, but it's readable. But I'm starting to think that Dark Academia is probably not going to be for me, just because I really am a person who has to be able to root for the main character and for some of the side characters. But in this case, I don't even so much, like in the last book, I kind of felt just ambivalent toward the other characters. In this one, I actually actively dislike some of them. So it'd be interesting to see. Not a lot has happened yet plot-wise. So, but from reading the prologue, you do see that some really dark, sinister things start to happen. And then it does talk about that on the back a little bit too. So I'll be curious to see when that starts to really happen, where they start to get into the dark things. But that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to keep reading this one, try and get done. I'm hoping to get done this one this week and get started on If We Were Villains. So, but it is quite dense, so we'll see how that goes. But I will let you know. What do you think, Oscar? What do you think? Are you a Dark Academia guy? I'll let you know what I think as I get further. Okay, update time on The Secret History. I have now gotten to page 236. And I have to say, this book has been a slog. I almost DNF'd it a couple of times already. It was just so boring to me at the beginning. The characters aren't very likable, so I don't have a reason to want to read about them. And then for the first 170 pages, really, to be honest, nothing happened. There was barely any plot, and to be carrying on reading about these characters I don't care about when there's no plot was really difficult. But finally, around about page 170, the plot actually started. And so now I am finding it somewhat interesting. I'm definitely continuing reading. I can't see this being more than a 2.5 or a 3 for me though, because I just really don't care for the characters at all. And I think that's going to be my downfall with Dark Academia, is characters can make or break a book for me. And if I don't like the characters, it's really hard for me to enjoy the book. So, but I am going to keep going. We'll see how it goes, see where I get. And I don't know if I even told you guys what this one was about, because I didn't really know what it was about. It took me till about page 170 to figure out what the heck this was supposed to be about. But anyways, you're following a guy named, I can't even remember the main character's name. What is his name? The following main character, his name is Richard. He comes from a small town in California where his family's not very wealthy, and he does not like his own life. He wants to escape. So he has a date at this college in Vermont called Hampton, where he meets this group of students who are studying Greek with a professor named Julian. The students are all very strange, but he gets into them and they start to form kind of a little friendship. The group starts looking into certain aspects of classical culture and doing experiments and things that maybe they shouldn't. And it leads to what eventually becomes the plot, which is about 200 pages in, so I don't really want to tell you. But from the prologue, which is at the very beginning, you do find out that there is something involving murder. So that's where we're at with that. I am continuing to slug through it. I'm hoping to get done it this week so that I can get on to If We Were Villains, which is the other one that I was going to read for this vlog. So I will let you know when I make it a little bit further in this tome of slowness. I am 70% into The Secret History. Finally. Oh, I really don't know what I think of this book. It's interesting enough to keep me reading now, but it's still not going to be more than a 3-star, I'm sure. I haven't decided yet whether that first 170 very boring pages at the beginning is enough to knock it down below 3 stars or not. And we'll see how it ends because I'm getting fairly close to the end. Yeah, the characters have grown on me a little bit, but at the same time, they're still quite unlikable. And the things that they're doing and saying really don't endear them to a person. But at the same time, you're kind of rooting for them just because they're the characters you're following. But by the same token, it's like, you guys really are kind of assholes. So anyway, it'll be interesting to kind of see where it ends. I, again, definitely do not think that this is going to get more than a 3-star at the most from me. But we will see where I end up putting it. I'm hoping to finish it today, if at all possible, and then I will be able to start on If We Were Villains. But I will let you know if I can get through this. I've been in order to force myself to read it, because it's not, I mean, honestly, if this was the only book I was reading, it would probably put me in a bit of a reading slump. But in order to force myself to actually read it, I've been reading based on a spinner wheel. So I have this spinner wheel where I have the 3 or 4 books that I'm in the middle of right now, and I spin and see which one I'm going to read, and then that forces me every so often to read this one. But my spinner wheel seems to really like this book for some reason. Maybe it's trying to tell me to just get my butt in gear and finish it. So I am going to try and finish it today, and we'll see what I think of the ending. Oh my God, I finished it. I finally finished The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Oh, this book. This book was brutal for me, to be honest. I gave it 2.5 stars. Now, when I first started it, in the first 170 pages, I was going to give it to 200 pages and DNF it if nothing happened. But at 175 or 170 pages, the first thing finally happened in the book that was actually like interesting. But that 170 pages that I had to read with characters that I did not like and nothing really happening, honestly did this book in for me. It was sitting at a 1 star for a long time in my brain. And then by the time I got towards the ending, I was kind of enjoying watching the train wreck that was going on of their lives because they all kind of deserved it. So for that reason, I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. It wasn't that it wasn't well written. Like, I understand why people like this book. I understand why it's a classic and why so many people are into this kind of book. It's an interesting character study, and you get to see these people who are strange to us, you know. You get to see, it's kind of you're watching their life unfold and you're watching it become a complete train wreck because of the decisions that they're making. And I can understand why some people like this kind of book. I did find a few of the characters, in particular, Henry was quite well fleshed out. And I did kind of enjoy his character. The other characters were kind of less fleshed out, I would say. They were a little bit more, I don't want to say, they weren't really what's the word I'm looking for? They weren't really like cliche characters or whatever, but they weren't nearly as deeply fleshed out as, say, Henry was. Henry was quite deeply fleshed out as a character, and Bunny was quite deeply fleshed out as a character, I thought. The other guys were a little bit more interchangeable and less detail about them. But at the same time, again, I didn't like any of them, and I'm starting to think that Dark Academia may not be for me simply because it looks like, for me, characters can make or break a story. And if I do not like the characters, I find it really hard to be in their heads and to be around them for this length of time. This book didn't look that big, but it is 554 pages, I think, 556 pages. And to be in these characters' heads and following them for that long was just too much for me. By the time I got to the end, I was just like, oh, would you get it over with already? Like, it was too much for me. So I like I say, I can understand why people like this kind of thing, but I don't think it's going to be for me, judging by this book anyway. And even The Cloisters, which I liked more than this one, I didn't like being in those characters' world for that long. I like the academic part of it. I do. I really like that. But I'm starting to think that I still need to have likable characters in order to feel like I want to actually read that. So, something like more along the lines of Emily Wilde, where she's an academic and she's studying things, but at the same time, she's a likable character, and Bamblebee's a likable character. So it's completely different. It's more of a light academia, I think is what they call that one. But it's a little bit different than something like this. Sorry, Raven. Oh, I did get it. Don't mind me. I'm just killing a fly. Ew. Ugh. Okay. Anyway. Sorry, Raven. So I can kind of get the like I say, I can figure out why people like it, but I didn't. So next up, I am going to be reading If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I'm really hoping that I'll like this one more. This one, of all three of them, was the one that seemed the most interesting to me via the description of it. So essentially, you're following these 7 people who were part of they were Shakespearean actors. And 7 years before, I think, 10 years. 10 years before, there was a murder, and one of them was convicted of it. His name is Oliver Marks. But now it's 10 years later, he's getting released from jail, and the detective who put him there is questioning whether he was right in putting him there. So he wants this guy to actually tell him the truth. And so that's where it starts into the story. And I'll tell you a little bit more about it once I have read a bit of this and can kind of give you a bit better synopsis. So let's hope, crossing my fingers, please, please, please be better than the other 2 that I read. All right, I'll see you guys soon. If We Were Villains, here even. So I have gotten to about a page 175 in this one, and I'm actually enjoying it. I'm really happy about that. I am finding that the difference with this one compared to The Secret History and even to The Cloisters is that the characters, even though it is somewhat pretentious and everything, the characters are more likable. And that's definitely why I'm enjoying it more. the main character in this one, his name is Oliver, and he just seems like quite a genuinely nice guy who's gotten pulled into this situation. And that, I think, makes him a much more likable character than in some of the other books that I've been reading. I also, in this one, the villain who gets murdered is definitely somebody that I didn't like anyway. So that was that wasn't a huge, oh no, why did that person die sort of thing. I mean, in the Secret History, I didn't really care for the guy who died either. But in this one, it seemed more like he deserves it. But yeah, so I am really enjoying this one with the characters being more likable. And I actually quite enjoy the fact that they quote Shakespeare to each other all the time. I like the way it goes through the whole how they're acting and everything for these plays. I've always liked books about the theater, so that helps as well with this one. So far, I'm leaning towards the fact that Dark Academia, it may for me just really depend on the story and the characters, because if the characters are unlikable, I'm not going to enjoy it. But I'm going to keep on reading that one and hopefully finish it pretty soon. I'm, like I say, almost 50% into it, 175 pages, and I am enjoying it. So this is good. I will catch up with you guys once I've finished. I finished If We Were Villains 2 nights ago, and I just haven't recorded my thoughts yet. This one I loved. I gave this book 5 stars, which shocked the heck out of me because I was not expecting to like any of these Dark Academia books that much. But this one had one huge difference over the other ones, and that is that I actually genuinely liked the characters. And as I'm coming to discover, the characters can make or break a book for me. I also really enjoyed the setting of the Shakespearean, the student studying Shakespeare. I've always really enjoyed stories that involve actors, and in particular, for some reason, stage actors. I've really enjoyed those stories in the past. I think I just always thought of being able to act on the stage as being so romantic and just being something that I would have loved to have done, but I'm way too shy to do. And then of course the ins and outs of being in a group of people who have to work together, even if your personalities don't always connect. But overall, like the main character especially, he was such a likable character. You really are rooting for him, and he's kind of the quintessential nice guy. You're obviously in his head, so there could be issues of unreliability, but overall, he's just such a nice, good character, and I loved following him and seeing it through his eyes. The mystery was really good. I didn't figure out who had done what. I had some ideas, but some of them were right and some of them were wrong. So that was really interesting. And then the ending was heart-wrenching in areas. And there was just a little touch of ambiguity at the end that made me go, oh, I'm going to imagine that actually happened. So that's why it worked out for me. This one I definitely enjoyed, and I give this one 5 stars. The writing was really beautiful in this one too. I loved the way that they quoted Shakespeare at each other all the time. It just, to me, that was just a lot of fun. It didn't come across so much as so much pretension in it as in The Secret History. This one, I found it just to be a little bit more fun. So that takes care of the Dark Academia. So what are my final thoughts on Dark Academia as a genre for me? So I read The Cloisters by Katie Hayes, then The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. The Cloisters I gave 3.5 stars. If We Were Villains, I gave 5 stars, and The Secret History I gave 2.5 stars. And I think what that means for me and Dark Academia is that it's going to entirely depend on the premise of the story, the characters of the story, and the writing itself as to whether I will like a particular book. So it's not going to be a genre where I'll just wholesale want to read everything that I can find in that genre. Because for me, the fact that so many of the characters in that genre are unlikable people does not work for me. Unlikable main characters, especially, and being inside where you're being inside the head of somebody who you don't really like, or having them completely surrounded by unlikable people and not really seeing any good redeeming qualities in any of them, is really not my style of book. I much prefer books where you can feel like you can root for the main character, or you feel like you actually care about the side characters a little bit more. And that's why I found like The Secret History, I found absolutely brutal to get through, because I didn't want to be around those characters for that long. It was 650 pages and I did not want to be in those characters' heads. Plus, with that one, it took forever for anything to happen. Like, you were 200 pages into the 650 pages before anything really happened. Otherwise, I was pretty well bored out of my tree. Honestly, I would have DNF'd that one if I wasn't reading it for the vlog. So, yeah, so that was kind of my experience with that one. And like with the Cloisters, I found the setting and the mystery and the academic part really interesting, but I just didn't like the characters very much. And see, that's a case of one like that, because the setting and the premise were very interesting to me, that I would probably pick that book up and read it, but I may either not finish it, or it would get a lower rating for me than, say, something like If We Were Villains, which the premise and everything sounded really interesting to me, and then the characters were likable. So anyways, that's kind of my general thoughts on Dark Academia. So I will see you guys soon on my next video. I will hopefully be getting this one out pretty soon. And let me know down in the comments what genre you think I should try next. I have read, I read ghost stories or haunted house stories. I read Dark Academia. What else did I do last year? Anyway, let me know what genres you want me to try next. I am in the process of trying literary fiction as well, and I'm working on that vlog as I go through as well. So if there's a genre that's your favorite that you'd like to see me read, I do read a lot of mystery thriller, and I do read a lot of historical fiction and historical mysteries. I read a lot of cozy mysteries. So those are ones that it's not necessarily something that I have to try and see if I like, but I can also do vlogs where I read some of the genres that I know I'm going to like, although I do mainly gravitate towards those kind of books. So anyways, and also let me know if you've read any of these ones and what your thoughts are on Dark Academia. And make sure you give me a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys on my next video. Bye.